Are you hungry? Well, since patch 8 came out, I decided to update my Herald of Hadar build. It's a thematic build with using Eldritch type horde themes, where instead of min-maxing our skills, we pick specific ones like Arms of Hadar and Hunger of Hadar, also cold type damage and necrotic type damage, sprinkle in a little fire here and there. But ultimately, this build is going to be a Tactician build. There is an honor mode version, but I'm only going to go over the Tactician build.
For your race, go ahead and pick what you feel most comfortable with, as this is a themed build and not a min-max build. Some standouts: human, which we're going to be going as Will. You get civil militia, where you get weapon proficiency with spears, pikes, halberds, and glaives, and armor proficiency with light armor and shields. We can get more armor proficiency if you start Paladin, but as I said, this is a themed build and not a min-max build. Some other really good class or races are half-elf, Dragonborn if you really want to get your RP going, and half-orc is really strong with melee weapons. On the elf side, we have high elves and half elves. Now, if you go elf for sub-race, don't pick high elf, because high elf is more of like a caster. But if it's going with your story, because this is the Herald of Hadar anyway, you create who he is. Make him you or her. But Wood Elf has stealth skill proficiency, which can be helpful completing some things in the game, and fleet of foot, so you get an extra 1.5 movement speed, which will allow you to move further per turn. So for your origin character, go ahead and select Will, or I'm going to select Will. He's a human, so he's going to have base racial speed and civil militia, like I talked about, but he's also going to have human versatility. You get to select an additional skill to be proficient in, and your carrying capacity is increased by a quarter. Will is a Warlock, as is the basis for the Herald of Hadar. We're going to be mixing Warlock with Paladin, except since this is patch 8, we're going to be going Hexblade Warlock and Oath of the Crown Paladin. That's going to be our multi-class. But as Warlock, we're going to get to select a few cantrips. Always pick Eldritch Blast as the first one. Your second one, I have mods equipped, but I'm going to pick Booming Blade. Booming Blade kind of fits with the whole Hexblade, even though we won't be able to pick it if you're starting from level 1, because Will is by canon a Fiend Warlock, so he gets the Dark One's Blessing. When you reduce a hostile creature to 0 hit points, this gift from your patron grants you 4 temporary hit points. For spells, we're just going to go ahead and go with the Armor of Agathis and the Arms of Hadar to fit the theme. Background folk hero, but go ahead and pick whichever one if you are not making an origin character. I highly suggest something like Soldier, because you're going to be a soldier of Hadar. Now for ability points, to start off, it goes Charisma, Dexterity. Some people will do Strength if they want to use a strength weapon, but that's more for if you're starting with Paladin. Starting the game, you're going to want your Dexterity high, because your Dexterity contributes to your armor class, which makes it harder to hit you. You can keep charisma at 17 and bump it up to 18 with the Hag's Hair. I like to bring intelligence and wisdom to an even 10. You can bring dexterity up to 15 and start something like this. But for me, to balance it, I like to go something like this. It's going to give you a negative strength roll, but we're putting all of our points in dexterity. So we're going to be hard to hit, and we're going to be able to hit really effectively with ranged and finesse weapons, like Will's Rapier. Will's Rapier is a finesse weapon. So go ahead and pick stats that look something like this. For racial skills, because he's a human, pick what you like here. Athletics, so you don't have a negative and you can't get pushed around. It's a very good one. It'll give us a +1. There's speech rolls down here as well, or you can also go perception. But since we get to pick more skills, we can drop Arcana and pick up some speech skills, intimidation or deception, or both. I feel like the Herald of Hadar will probably be very intimidating and very deceptive. That way he can quench that hunger of his. He's probably famished. But that's it on the starting stats. Let's move on.
Later on in the game, you'll be able to recruit withers here, and you'll be able to respec yourself for a small payment back to level 1. This way you can pick Warlock again, but we're going to switch to Hexblade instead of the Fiend. I went with Booming Blade for the other cantrip again. And for spells this time, you go with Shield and Wrathful Smite. Wrathful Smite for the little status effect. We're going to keep our stats the same: 8, 16, 14, 10, 10, and 16. And then we're going to keep the skill proficiencies for the speech skills right here. Deception and intimidation. Now let's switch on, or level up, to level 2. And I can show you guys that.
Sharp as ever.
Alright, at level 2 we're going to get a new Warlock spell slot and 2 Eldritch Invocations. Here I always try to go with both of the ones that update Agonizing Blast. We're going to go with the same spells here: Armor of Agathis and Arms of Hadar for the theme. But we're going to beef up our Eldritch Blast. That way we can use it as, like, we can knock people off with it. That's what Repelling Blast does, by the way. Here, I wouldn't really go with Hold Person over Darkness. I mean, you can if you want. I like to set up Darkness because we're going to get Double Sight later. And it can really come in handy if you need it. So there's another Booming Blade. Well, there's 2 Booming Blades, so I decided to go with one of them. And then for a spell here, see, you have another opportunity to get Hold Person, so might as well grab it. No need to replace a spell. And we always go ASI, boost up our charisma, and now we're level 5. After level 5 we're going to be respecing, by the way, but level 5 gives us deep impact with our Pack Blade. But also at level 5 we're able to get Hunger of Hadar, the main ability for this thematic build. It does 4 to 24 damage, so it does okay damage. It's mainly used to set up some blind and some cold and acid damage. as if Hadar's tentacles are coming through like a portal. And also at level 5 we can get the Devil's Sight Eldritch Invocation before we switch over to Paladin. So level 6 Warlock, we would get a Cursed Spectre, which we'll find out what that is later. But we're gonna reclass. The first build I did, I used Oath of the Ancients, but with patch 8 we can use Oath of the Crown. This will allow us to use both of the subclasses that came out for patch 8. Oath of the Crown doesn't really make a whole bunch of sense. If you want to stay true to Hadar, go Oath of the Ancients still, because Oath of the Crown isn't really as thematic as I would hope. I like the abilities you get, but the theme, paying respects to a crown versus an ancient one, is very different. Alright, so for picking the spell book, make sure you pick your smites, go with a heal, and then Compelled Duel. Eventually we'll get this ability for free, so you don't even really need to pick it. You can pick something like Ceremony. So yeah, and this is the level. Yeah, level 3 we get it as an action anyway. We get Command and Compelled Duel. And Champion Challenge as well, where you can compel any anyone around in the area. It's like an AoE taunt. It's pretty cool. And then Command is like a singular taunt. Same with Compelled Duel. So this kind of turns our Herald of Hadar into like a tank, which with the Hexblade isn't too bad. This isn't going to be like a min-max build. There's probably better builds, but I like going 5 levels of Warlock first, then 5 levels of Paladin, and then we finish it off with 2 levels of Warlock, just to really sink it in that we kind of worship Hadar. Thematic builds can be kind of fun, especially if you're just playing for fun rather than playing to, completely smash the game. And with patch 8 also comes crossplay. So now PC players can play with console players. The only thing is, you have to make sure your mods are the same, so that can be a little annoying. You can pick up Aid here and Branding Smite. Now we go to level 11, so we're going to go back to Warlock. Like I was saying, the mods have to be the same cross board, but the mods are pretty cool now, so try to get the same mods as your friends and see what you can play. Now level 6 Warlock, we get a spell. I can go Vampiric Touch here, but I think I like Fear. What do you think? I think I'm going to go Fear. Blur would also be a decent one. It's an illusion spell, but illusion spells kind of work if you're mainly going to be a melee fighter, because it makes it harder to hit you. But at this point it's already hard enough to hit you. And these are our final spells for Warlock. Hunger of Hadar, Darkness, and Arms of Hadar really keep the theme going. Arms of Hadar is very good if you don't want an enemy to be able to make reactions or anything like that. And Hunger of Hadar is just good for completely shutting them down. Oh, we get one last spell and we can get Staggering Smite here. Does a huge chunk of damage. And I always finish off with Book of Secrets because it allows you to cast Ray of Sickness, Chromatic Orb, and Silence without expending spell slots. But you can only use them once per long rest. So how are these as final spells? The shield spell is really comes in clutch because it kind of helps you with your defense. So you can really shine by spreading darkness and also beckoning through that darkness and challenging all who oppose you and who oppose Hadar, right? So pick any of these spells that you like. If you saw a spell that you think is better, go ahead and go with it. I just feel like these spells really fit thematically, and that's what we're really going with this build. We're not going to go to level 13, that's a mod. So I'm going to back out, and I hope you guys enjoyed that build. I'm going to finish off here with a little recorded gameplay. But if you enjoyed this build, go ahead and subscribe, see what I post next, and I will see you on the next one. I appreciate everyone for taking the time. Hopefully these harpies don't smoke me. Take care, everyone.
With magic, a harpy's charm. The suffocating warmth suddenly fades as the
Get back as a trick. And then we don't have Gale. We just have Shadowheart. I'm gonna try not to use Shadowheart because she's at level 20. Regardless, we're probably gonna... Well, maybe not if we're all lured. See, we might be too over-leveled for this. I just wanted to show off the Hexblade. And if they hit me, I still have... Well, no, I can't. Alright, we're both not lured anymore. This kid is lured. Let's just keep Shadowheart close. Well, yeah, I'm probably gonna have to use Shadowheart because I don't want the kid to die. Well, this is like an Evil Will playthrough, so. And these harpies are only level 1. I gotta test. I gotta test this build out against like maybe Orin or something. I like how it always makes these blood versions. So it makes it a little harder with the mods. Ooh. But I'm trying not to wait so long. Let's heal. 3. He doesn't need that much healing, but... Oh, the kid's still lured. I should hit the one that's singing. Which one's singing? Oh, it's this one. Can I warp? That's a mod ability. But I was able to stop the singing. And now, let's do a compelled shout. Because there's a lot of people here now. It'd be even worse if I had Gale and Asterion. They're so strong. I gotta show off Gale. I made him a Blade Singer. And then Asterion, I made like a Thief, Gloomstalker, Arcane Archer. Alright, let's see. Let's do the AoE Champion Challenge. So, how many people that hit? Let's jump. Let's jump here and do it. Let's see if we can hit all of them. Oh no, we lost it because we lost a bonus action. Well, we can do Hunger or Arms of Hadar, maybe, right? So they can't do reactions. Let's do it at a level 1. Alright. Shadowheart's still here. She can take one out, but I'm just gonna have her move from... Oh no. I think walking through the water made her visible again. Mercon! Get away! Get away, Mercon! Good boy. Oh, and I have him dual wielding a rapier and a scimitar. If you don't want your Herald of Hadar to dual wield, you can easily do a sword and shield. Switch up some of the skills. I'm not concentrating on anything. But Hunger of Hadar is gonna hurt me. But they only have 25 health. I have 140. Right? So we're just gonna Hunger of Hadar ourselves. Yeah, there we go. Dang. Concentration text. Alright, let's just finish this. We've shown off the build. Yeah, Shadowheart's a Death Domain Cleric. The game looks really nice now. Nah, he doesn't need healing. I like that, accursed. Just looking for Shadowheart. Yeah, if they're gonna have to walk out of Hunger of Hadar. I'm just sitting there holding concentration. Let's end this person's concentration. Now they're dead. We just gotta kill the blood spawns. Here's one blood spawn. Because you heard the victory sound. It's some mod that makes them spawn these blood spawns.
Did you do that on purpose?
She said, "Did you do that on purpose?" Alright, I'll end concentration on it.
Are they gone?
Yes, they're gone.
No. Yes. I mean, I don't know.
Alright, that's it. That's it for the demonstration.